psilocybin thinkers. Thank you for tuning in to LO3 Podcast. My name is Craig, transmitting from the beautiful realms of planet Earth, and today's date is Thursday, November 11th, 2021. Hopefully wishing everyone a happy Veterans Day. And, you know, some people aren't crazy about it. Some like they have some merit behind it, especially when you go overboard. But always pay homage to your veterans like your neighbors, you know, every single day. Today's episode will be number 1418. I'll be narrating two articles from the New American. 35 Navy SEALs sue for religious discrimination, and Gabbard hits Rittenhouse Prosecution. I was just browsing through censored.news, and I see some interesting stuff here. You know, Manhattan's office is still largely empty. Wow. And of course, California's countless record largest price increase since February. Yeah, medical tyranny, COVID rules could land Aussies in prison for 2 years. Ted Cruz says succession isn't off the table if Socialist Democrats and Marxist Biden regime gets tighter. But there was a good victory in Pennsylvania court. Throws out school mask mandate. And of course, you have a local media snitches on In-N-Out for refusing to ask customers for vaccine proof. Yep, another bend over Bob. Yeah, I just fucking find out how much he blew to get that job, right? And there's one report that Governor DeSantis threatens to send illegals to Delaware if Biden continues secret migrant flights to Florida. I think just drop them off right on his beautiful estate. If he wants illegal immigration, bring it right to his mansions, okay, right to his estate. And of course, KISS frontman Gene Simmons, evil, unvaccinated Americans are an enemy. And I was watching the little brief interview on this. He was just doing baseless rhetoric about laws and so forth, and taking the COVID. If you don't take the COVID shot, you're the enemy. You should be considered about your health and your neighbor's health. Love thy neighbor. These are all this blasphemous statements, and I'm like, is this the Twilight Zone, or he's going through male endopause with all due respect? And don't get me wrong, Gene Simmons is a very intelligent man. I'm not gonna knock him on what he achieved and what he can do. I heard he speaks 5 languages fluently. And the question I have for him: have you been checking out your native land, your homeland of Israel, where people take one of the highest vaccinated countries in the world, and their COVID reports has spiked to the core? Question that. Have you been paying attention, sir? With all due respect. I just find this hilarious when you're just going, you sound like a rundown beaker, and I don't hate the guy, but if you're gonna call out unvaccinated Americans are an enemy and they're fans of your music, you just burn bridges with them. Probably since the great rock and roll swindle, right? Absolutely. So you know what, man? Get your facts straight. And one more question I have for him. Can you prove to your fans or the unvaccinated Americans, can you prove to them it has been approved by the FDA? Documentation, prima facie information. Prove that to us. If not, your pretentiousness can backfire on you. Or in other words, you'll be stepping on your own bear trap, sir. Always think before you speak. So, and I say that in good faith, by the way. It's just hilarious. And I was like to hear blacklisted news. I go on the site. City of Miami unveils interactive kiosk to help visitors navigate Wynwood. I'm like, damn, they still got problems in that district. I remember it to be a big war zone in the 70s and 80s, especially during the riots. The Miami riots, they had like 5 times they went through Wynwood itself. It was not a really great neighborhood when you look at it. So I know people who live there all their lives. They share stories with me all the time. It's like almost like 40 years, I would say. Absolutely totally insane here. And of course, Darlene Maxwell's attorney failed to bar Psychological sexual abuse expert from testimony. Oh yeah, and of course we'll just go down here. Michael Granada, 56-year-old California man, dead 10 weeks after Moderna mRNA injection. Warns others not to take it. And of course, young athletes in 8 days die or suffer career-threatening heart attacks. Shara Mediel, 52-year-old Canadian cardiologist, tells the non-vax, "I won't cry at your funeral." Okay, so some flamboyant rhetoric. Vaccine passports transform society into a dystopian nightmare, forcing unvaxxed to live like fugitives. It's happening in Lithuania, by the way. And right here, Broward School Board president kept secret files on wacko parents opposed to mandates and critical race theory. Another Marxist hack, another tyrannical scumbag, right? Yeah, it says right on here, Rabo, the feds is getting flattened, whatever happens now. And one over here, let me just see. I'm just browsing through here. Yeah, there's a lot of crazy stuff that's happening. And of course, COVID surge in Belgium, they're all vaccinated. All right, Gene, explain that to me. How come in Belgium they have a high vaccinated rate and there's COVID surge? Explain that to me. So it tells you how brilliant you are in certain areas. Because, with all due respect, you just may be acting or in the twilight zone on this matter. National Pulse here says YouTube hides a dislike counter in obvious attempt to shield the Biden regime. Everyone knows Joe Biden sucks. Another Bushite globalist butt lug, right? Bend over Bob to the New World Order. And of course, we'll just go down here. Of course, the Pfizer CEO, critics are criminals. He's actually talking about himself, projection. And let's go over on here. Google researcher warns on dangers of new Axios Google election issue project. I wonder why. Under the American dream, they want national internet speech regulation so they can legally censor you into oblivion. Yeah, that's true. Black Lives Matter activists threaten bloodshed in New York. If Adams does his thing, he was gonna take over City Hall. Yeah, you go on the front line, sir. See how tough you are without your hired, paid army of fools, pawns. You don't give a damn about them anyway. We like to use them. Hospitals worldwide swamped with people sicker than ever, and they don't have COVID. All right, so over 25% college degrees have negative return on investment. DOD claims China, climate change are equally important threat. Yeah, of course. Kyle Rittenhouse killed a jury. He murdered 2 men at a Black Lives Matter protest, according to CBS. You know how CBS is, right? The flop James torched on Twitter for mocking Kyle Rittenhouse's trauma. Just shoot some hoops, my friend. Focus on your basketball and your family, not Kyle Rittenhouse. Alright. Book. Cuomo accuser says he was pre-positioned decades ago by Governor Bill Clinton. Liberty headlines. Yeah, you go through a lot of stuff here. And of course, we're not talking about Kyle Rittenhouse here. Rittenhouse has already won, and we were watching willful prosecutorial misconduct. I was watching that, and I can tell you the prosecuting attorney is desperate, I would say, in good faith. Because his other witnesses had no merit, and now he's like empty shooting blanks. Of course, here Eric Clapton tells RFK Jr. this has got to stop. That's what the vaccine, because he has taken the AstraZeneca. Of course, he got glam boy Brian May, guitarist for Queen, is trying to criticize him for that. Shut up. You know, these people, they give them a penile microphone, you know? And then, of course, Harbinger Daily, China's Communist Party solidifies Xi as leader on par with Mao. He's wearing his peasant suit. They look alike and smell the same. Israel steps up preparedness to confront Iran. Syria UAE talks concerns the U.S. Sudan's post-coup analysis. Jerusalem studio. Brazilian president. Who chief people are dying after the second dose.
Hey, you want some food? Put some food back.
Recent grocery store trips brings food and surprises. Interesting here. Leftists support tyranny, conservatives do not. It's time to separate. Social media companies suppress claims of Kyle Rittenhouse's innocence. Yeah, that's how it goes. Of course, it goes on and on. Of course, Boston Mayor-elect Michelle Wu is still against police in schools. We just go on. I'm just like browsing through. Man who shot to death counted as COVID-19 fatality. That's Summit News. Sorry, Summit News. Yeah. Well, we're just gonna, just browsing through here. It's pretty cool stuff here. So I just like, I enjoy reading these things. Give you guys a little glimpse. Go to censored.news and check it out. Mike Adams does a good job. And we're going to start here. It'll be mainly, both these articles are from newamerican.com, came out today. We'll start off here. 35 Navy SEALs sue Biden, Department of Defense for religious discrimination over vaccine mandates. This is by Bob Elderman. And Mr. Elderman has to say here, in addition having every one of their requests for religious exemption from the Navy's COVID-19 vaccine mandate denied, 35 Navy SEALs were harassed, intimidated, and threatened for making those requests. On Tuesday, they filed suit against President Biden, Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin, Secretary of the Navy Carlos Del Toro, probably all three bend over Bobs in the New World Order, yippee yapping yahooey, and the U.S. Department of Defense. They are being represented by a public interest nonprofit, Liberty First Institute. Mike Berry, General Counsel for LFI, minced no words. The denials are universal, deliberate, intentional, and represent an effort to purge the Navy of Christians. The fact that the government has not granted a single religious exemption from the vaccine mandate shows that the Biden administration does not care about religious freedom. Instead, this appears to be an attempted ideological purge, forcing a service member to choose between their faith and their serving their country is apparent to the Constitution and America's values. After all these elite warriors have done to defend their freedoms, the Navy is now threatening their careers, families, and finances. It's appalling. It has to stop before any more harm is done to our national security. After filing a request and having them universally denied, Berry explained what happened next. When they inquired about seeking religious accommodation for the vaccine, the Navy informed many of the plaintiffs that they could face court-martial or involuntary separation if they don't receive the vaccine. Each of the religious exemption denials appear to be identical, suggesting the Navy is not taking their request seriously. A purge of the Navy of Christians seems far-fetched, but LFI's 38-page lawsuit dispels any doubt about that intention. The Navy had to violate not only the U.S. Constitution's First Amendment, but the Religious Freedom Restoration Act, the Administrative Procedure Act, the Department of Defense regulations, and the Department of the Navy's own regulations. In doing so, the complaint calls these denials unlawful, contrary to law, and arbitrary and capricious. Capricious, excuse me. Excerpts from the lawsuit says here, the Navy communicated to plaintiffs that failure to comply with the Navy vaccine mandate by the established deadline, November 28, 2021, for active duty, December 28, 2021, November 28, 2021, December 28, 2021 for reserve, will result in immediate adverse consequences, which may include court-martial, which is criminal, prosecution, involuntary separation, relief for cause from leadership positions, removal from promotions list, inability to attend certain military training and education schools, loss of special pay, placement in a non-deployable status, recoupment of money spent in the service member, and the loss of leaves and travel privileges for both official and unofficial purposes. A Navy spokesman recently admitted that multiple religious accommodation requests related to the COVID vaccine mandate have been adjudicated and none have yet been approved. Plaintiffs sincerely held religious beliefs forbid each of them from receiving the COVID-19 vaccine for a variety of reasons based upon their Christian faith as revealed through the Holy Bible and prayerful discernment. Multiple plaintiffs hold the sense religious belief that all life is sacred from conception and natural death, and that abortion is an impermissible taking an innocent life in the womb. As a result of their sincerely held religious beliefs regarding life and abortion, multiple plaintiffs are unable to receive any of the COVID-19 vaccines due to what they believe and understand is a connection between these vaccines and their testing, development, or production using aborted fetal cell lines. Plaintiffs believe that receiving a COVID-19 vaccine that was tested, developed, or produced using aborted fetal cells would force them to violate their sincerely held religious beliefs by causing them to participate in the abortion enterprise, which they believe to be immoral and highly offensive to God. The plaintiffs hold that their bodies are a temple of God. Multiple plaintiffs hold it to the sincere religious belief that the body is God's temple and they must not take anything into their bodies that God has forbidden or that would alter the functions of their bodies, such as by inducing the production of a spike protein in a manner not designed by God. In accordance with their sincerely held religious beliefs, multiple plaintiffs carefully monitor what they take into their bodies, and they are compelled to avoid anything that adversely alters or may modify their bodies' natural functions in a manner not designed by God. Many of the SEALs received a formal COVID-19 vaccination administrative counseling warning that states pre-MANMED 15-105 Special Operations duty personnel, SEAL and SWCC who refuse to receive the COVID-19 vaccine based solely on personal or religious belief will be disqualified from SO duty. They will also be declared medically disqualified and therefore non-deployable for the very mission for which they have been trained. The lawsuit spells out the violations of the various laws and constitutional guarantees that the Navy performed to excise the plaintiffs from service for their Christian beliefs and end by demanding a declaratory judgment by the court that defendants' vaccination policies violate plaintiffs' rights under the First Amendment to the United States Constitution and under the Religious Freedom Restoration Act and under the Administrative Procedure Act. It demanded an order declaring unlawful and setting aside defendants' vaccination policies, along with actual and other money damages for the violation of plaintiffs' rights, including back pay, legal fees, and all other further relief to which plaintiffs may be entitled. And the court grants those demands, the immediate threat will have been thwarted, but the main threat remains. The U.S. military has been so infiltrated by secular and anti-God sentiments among its high ranks that full cleansing and restoration won't happen as a result of a single favorable court ruling. And it's true, because the whole thing is this, my friends, it's just like when we all have different belief systems and we have to stick together. But what's going on right now is a form of Jim Crow ideology. And I will say that Jim Crow ideology that will make people like Adolf Hitler, Joseph Stalin, Benito Mussolini very proud. And don't forget Mao Zedong. Yes, these globalist douchebags have those attributes. Useless eaters. They own a particular group that been trained to do their job, and they're going to get deprived from it. Unacceptable. And this is why I'm not afraid to call out these hacks, white privilege Biden and all those other globalists, Uncle Tom and Angel Mamas that are involved in this. It's just the damn truth. This is why you always got to stick to your guns, folks. Don't be like Gene Simmons, those other whack jobs out there. Yeah, you're going to call him a whack job for his rhetoric. Don't be like those whack jobs. You're an individual, not a number. They want you to say they're your property. You don't need to belly up to any of these ingrates. I hope justice will be done for these 35 comrades in the Navy SEALs. But there's a one big ripple effect. And it has to stop one way or the other. This is why I support anti-community doctrines, nullification, regardless of your race, color, creed, etc. You have freedom of conscience. Not doing this for your own good. Unacceptable, deplorable, apparent, etc. Nefarious. I can use that too. All right, folks, I'm going to do one more here from the same article. This one here came from same newspaper, same website. Gabbard hits Rittenhouse Prosecution, blames leftists for riots, attacks Democrats for race obsession. That is what R. Kirkwood has to say. Listening to former Representative Tulsi Gabbard makes one wonder whether she ran for president in the wrong party. For 2 weeks, the Democrat from Hawaii has not only been attacking her own party for its open racialist propaganda, but also, more specifically, celebrated the defeat of leftist Terry McAuliffe in Virginia's governor race, and today blamed leftists for the unjust prosecution of Kyle Rittenhouse. Gabbard, an Army veteran, has been more conservative than just about everyone in her party. But the latest from the surfing politician from the Central Pacific raises question. How long can she stay in a party which is obviously so uncomfortable? And she made you can see the tweet here, there's plenty of links. And okay, I'll continue on here about Rittenhouse and McAuliffe. This morning, Gabbard went after the leftist media and Democrats who have repeatedly and falsely called Rittenhouse a murderer and white supremacist. With no evidence, mainstream media and anti-loving politicians immediately labeled Rittenhouse a white supremacist terrorist. She tweeted all the remarks from yesterday. It's obvious now that he was just a foolish kid who felt he needed to protect people in the community from rioters and arsonists because the government failed to do so. And that's good opinion there, okay? Yesterday she concluded what millions of others have, that prosecutors had a weak case, their own witnesses dismantled, but better yet, she went after the leftists in the city and state governments. The prosecutor in the Rittenhouse trial clearly did not do due diligence before making a decision to prosecute. This tragedy never would have happened if the government carried out its responsibilities to protect the safety, lives, and property of innocent people. And she says it right here too. The pro-Rittenhouse tweets invited the usual leftist curses. So you can see these tweets too for yourself. Last week, she told followers that McAuliffe's loss to Republican Glenn Youngkin happens because angry parents wouldn't vote for a Democrat who refused to condemn anti-right critical race theory, curricula that teaches white kids that are evil. McAuliffe's loss is a victory for all Americans, she tweeted. Why? Because it was a resounding rejection of effort to divide us by race, stripping of parental rights, and arrogant deaf leaders. This benefits us all. As another tweet, she says here, no more racial attacks. Beyond that, however, Gabbard has attacked leftists and Democrats generally for their obsession with race. This is a quote here. MSM and Dem leaders need to stop calling millions of Americans dogs. Only dogs respond to dog whistles. She tweeted twice last week. Stop trying to divide us by the color of our skin and our open border policy. True us all respect we deserve as Americans and God's children. Gabbard also attacked her own party for declaring that Americans who don't agree with its hard left anti-white agenda are extremists. This week before Halloween, she attacked Attorney General Merrick Garland for sizing the FBI on parents who attended school board meetings and criticized bathroom rapes and critical race curricula. And as it says here, is a quote, concerned parents are the latest targets of the establishment. which is a bigger problem than them, the Republicans. She continued. This is about MSM and political elite trying to hold onto their power. If you're not with them, they will censor you, demonize you, and call you a domestic terrorist. The sentiment appeared over a video of her appearance on Fox News Primetime. This is what she says here. There's a bigger problem than Democrats and Republicans, she said, of labeling parents domestic terrorists. It is about the establishment elite and trying to hold on to their power and continue to increase it. Continued Gabbard. The mainstream media is a powerful arm of that establishment elite, and it comes down to this. You're either with them, agreeing with them, supporting them, carrying water for them, or you're not. You're either part of the team or you're not. And if you're not, and this is what we're seeing happening now, is what I've experienced, then they will target you, censor you, demonize you, call you a domestic terrorist, and cite the Attorney General, stick the Attorney General on you, seeing you as a threat to their power and therefore the enemy. Gabbard knows how parents call domestic terrorists feels. When she was running for president, Hillary Clinton labeled her a Russian asset because Gabbard is not a typical Democrat globalist. Well, I can say this is how my disagreements with her, but there's a lot of times she's on target. And I like what she's doing. Because remember, there's even there's some good people in that party are being shunned. There's actually a Democratic Freedom Organization. I don't know off the top of my head. I know the Republicans have the Republican Liberty Caucus. They have a freedom group caucus as well. This is very essential. They're getting shut out. They're like having in the corner wearing a damn dunce hat, and they're the ones who are exhibiting it, plain and simple. I like what she said about this. Because as far as I'm concerned, these sons of bitches, excuse my language, need to be thrown in prison. They're treasonous scumbags, plain and simple. I don't have to get angry with them. There's no fun in that. I mock them because they're not that tough. They want everyone else to do their dirty work. That's how pathetic these hacks are. And Gabbard's calling them out. That's a good thing. I give her a thumbs up on this article. And everyone else should do too. Principle over party. No exceptions. And that will be it. I thank everyone for listening. Plus, feel free to download and share us throughout the social media networks. Any questions, comments, and send us insurance, check out, whatever you do, please send your correspondence to Decorum with Decorum. Furthermore, I'll leave the footnotes of these articles on my speaker page. If you want to contact me via email, you can go to LokiLuckNumbers03@protonmail.com. You can donate, you go to paypal.me or cash.app/LokiLuckNumber3. If you want to support, subscribe, donate to the New American, I say it'll be good for them. And share this with others. Because you never know. Positive inspiration goes a long way. Alright, folks, once again, thank you for your time. Plus, always remember that demoniac resistance is healthy for the soul and can live with humanity. Until next time, take care of yourselves. Keep on spreading the love, and may your guardian spirits be with you.